the table saw. If there's any piece of equipment that's the center of most shops, it's this one. And mine is in need of some TLC. That is not good. And trying to go up is even harder. So my changing the angle position of the blade, that works really well still because I don't use that very often. But this I need to address. There's an archaeological history of my past projects. You see the different colors. Okay, front rail off. I've got a couple of shims underneath here, 1/2 inch shims, so that when I take these bolts out, this thing doesn't just drop to the floor. I don't know if you can still see this or not. Hang on. I took the time to put some circles around the bolt holes so I know that I go back into the same place I was before. Alright, I've got the bolts out of this extension wing, and the trick here is not to release these clamps, but these back here. That way I can hold this with one hand. Don't go anywhere. Now I can move it. Alright, for me, my table saw top is held on by these 4 bolts at the 4 corners. So I got the belts off. This top should come loose. Alright, there's 2 shims that went on this side. One fell off, the other one stayed stuck. Oh, here's another one. Another one on the front. So I've got to be aware of that. I'll mark those locations. Okay, as I looked at my table I just set down, tabletop, and you swing it back the way it goes back on, there were 2 shims, one on each side here. Then this one was from this side. So I've got a total of 80 thousandths here and 30 thousandths back there. Okay. Now you can go to work and start cleaning that up, getting it lubed up and ready to go. Now I'm using WD-40 right now to clean these off. There's a bit of rust there. So I'm just using some steel wool to do both sides. A bit of rust there. So this is to change the angle, the bevel angle. Just kind of scrub both sides. And when I get done, I'll dry these off. And I'll get some graphite. Thought I had some, but I can't find any. So now to this side. All right, I got these cleaned up nice. I'm just showing you the back one here. I'm going to plug this in and run the motor to make sure the belts, because I had them off, are running true. Because before I put that top on, I want to make sure I got that set right. And I've got this cleaned up and lubed. Moves much more freely. And no noise, which is good. That looks good. All right, after much tapping and adjusting, I've got 1/1000th of an inch on the back, and on the front there's 0. There's 1/1000th of an inch. I'm going to call that good. I could be here all day chasing that one. All right, reattaching these wings. I just have done the one here, but these magnets are a godsend. I'll show you on the next one, but okay. So got everything prepped here. First thing I did was clean both edges with acetone. Same there. Now I can bring my table in. I gotta get my bolts ready. Get this about where it needs to be. And that just, you see how that just sucked them right up? I mean, and it holds it. Without any clamps, but I'm going to put the clamps on here just to be safe. I don't want this thing dropping on my toe. Alright, now I'll check it for flatness across the whole table here. I want to be careful to stay away from that magnet. Looks like I got a little tiny gap right here. I got to get a piece of paper. Yeah, it's just that edge. Checking the back. That's tight. So this corner looks like it needs to come up just a little bit. So I've got shims on here. You couldn't see it, maybe you did when I brought the table in. I've got aluminum tape on these 3 sides. I'm going to put one more piece on this side to try and raise this up just that little hair right there. So with my straight edge, I can see that I'm tight from about here, right there, to here. I can't get my piece of paper underneath there. And then from here, on this side, just past about the same distance, right there to the outside edge is also tight. So I've got a little dip in my table. I mean, that's just from the grinding. But I like the fact that I'm tight here. My seam is tight. That's good. Okay, so I'll bolt this on. Then I'm going to give this a thorough cleaning. First go around, last go around. Now I know it's nice and clean. Okay, I got my table buffed out, and I was getting ready to attach my extension table here when I thought I'd put in my zero clearance inserts, and there's a casualty here. I've shifted the table over far enough in this direction that these won't sit on there anymore. So I've got to remake those. And it also affects my aluminum inserts that my good friend August gave me. These will no longer work. I could recut them, but then there'll be no zero clearance on the inside, just on the outside. So what happens, I know I'm not taking it apart again and moving it that way. So that's just, I'll make some new ones. It's just the way it's going to have to be. Now the next thing for me is to get my fences lined up with this miter slot. But listen to this. Nice. That just goes down so nice. Alright, this is my go-to fence, I guess I'd call it. So I've got it squared to the table. That actually, when I dropped it back on, I didn't have to touch that. And then I did adjust this a little bit because I was 10,000ths out at the end. So now here I'm starting at zero. It comes to me a little bit. When I get down to the end out here, it runs out about 2,000ths. Right there, I hope you can see that. So that's 2,000ths out that way. If I come back to the middle, I'm actually 1,000th of an inch toward the blade. So I might have, that might just be my extrusion. Might have a little bump in it. But the only thing you can do is try it. 1,000ths away. Zero here at the beginning. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I do is run a piece of wood and see how it feels. For me, it's more about the way it feels. So if as I'm running a piece, if it feels good to me, I'll leave it. If it feels like it's binding, I'll kick it over a little bit more. But for now, this is a good place to start. And this is how I set my fence for rip cuts. I take my 3-2-1 block, and you can just barely hear it hitting that tooth. So I know that's 3. Then I lock my fence. Then I adjusted my pointer because, if you remember, my zero clearance inserts didn't fit, so I knew that the table had shifted. So I've got to make that adjustment to my pointer. So that I know will be a very close to a 3-inch cut when I set this pointer on my tape. I'd say that's pretty much in the ballpark. I'm not going to mess with that. Alright, everything runs good. Just have to wait for the next project, I guess. Thanks for watching.